Most of my stories involve drinking and road trips and hunting and
How about walk the line?
walk the line. That was a good one.
I moved up to Binghamton all in 1 year.
Wow.
Those
When
things
was
happened. 1972.
Wow.
Yep.
When you bought the first cabin and like started doing the lake thing, how'd you get into it? What happened?
Well, I love to water ski. I used to take Eddie and Eddie and Kathy and Kate even.
Wow.
I'd go rent a boat and we'd go on the lake.
How'd you get the cottage then? The first cottage?
It was here.
Yeah. Was
It
it
was
on
a
this
shack.
exact site?
Yeah,
I was trying to remember. Okay.
it was a shack.
Yeah.
And-
we loved it so much.
Oh, I know.
I
And
remember everything
I-
about it, and I'm still obsessed with it in my head.
I remember when Chuck said, I don't want her to build another house.
Oh, yeah,
I
no.
like this the
I was
best.
very disappointed that you would build a big, livable, comfortable space for people to stay in. Like, we were like, why would you do that?
And we have a lot of stories in our book. One is a story where we pulled around this corner because Dennis didn't want to go into the woods hunting. So we pulled around this corner and this big buck is standing there. And he's sitting in the truck and it's only like 50 yards away. He pulls his gun out and he misses him. And then he goes out trying to track him around the corner. And he tracks him up through the woods and he comes out on this road about 400 yards away from me. And I take this 400-yard shot and I hit this deer. The deer went down, got up and went into the woods, had a broken leg, and we tried to find him. We didn't realize it was Maine at 4 o'clock it gets dark. We spent that whole night in the woods with snow coming down in the dark. It wasn't a very good night. This country was different then. It was men were men and women were men too.
We'd driven
Johnny Cash.
We had driven to Maine and gone on a hunting trip, and we'd taken the route up to Maine. We took through Canada that year for some reason, and we went in through Maine through northern log roads. And anyway, we ended up at our camp, and we hadn't bought any food for the week, so we decided to drive into town. And town from our camp was probably 35, 40 miles, and about 15 of them on log roads. So we drive into town to buy our food for the week, and we buy our food and we buy booze. And we bought a lot of booze, beer and whiskey. And then a friend of ours in Fort Kent owned a bar, so we stopped into this bar, and it was probably 8 o'clock in the evening, and we stayed there till the bar closed. And there was about 5 or 6 of us, and I was driving my van. And when the bar closed, we headed back toward our camp, and we were probably 30 miles back toward our camp, and we got pulled over by the Maine State Police. And there were 2 of them. And they came up to the car and told me I had made an illegal pass and wanted my license and registration. I gave it to them. Then they asked me if I'd been drinking, and I told them that I'd been at the Arcadia Bar in Fort Kent, Maine. A friend of ours owned it. And then they asked me if we had any liquor in the car. Oh, I asked me first if I had any beer in the car, and I think we had like 9 cases of beer. And then they said hard liquor, and I said, 4 half gallons. And their next statement was out of the truck. So I got out of the truck, and they proceeded to have me touch my nose and follow their pencil back and forth. And then it was to walk the line. And I got 2 Maine State Police. And they have me start to walk. And meanwhile, they're looking in the truck with flashlights. And Charlie is the only one awake and alert in the front passenger seat. And my other 3 friends are laying on the floor passed out in the back of the van. So I start walking the line. As I start walking the line, Charlie breaks into the Johnny Cash song, I Walk the Line. The state police put me back in the truck. They asked me how far I had to drive on a public road yet, till I got off the road onto log roads. They told me to try not to kill myself between there and then, and they let us go. But Charlie broke into, you just hear boom, 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 boom. That was a good night, and we got out of trouble.
How did this happen?
We're going to say family, okay?
All right.
All right. You're going to do that corner. All right. 3, 2, 1. Family.
Does anybody know what button spelled backwards spells? Snot tub.
Not that.